What's up, everyone? What's up? What's up? All right, so we're doing another live today. We're on all social media platforms except X because this looks like X. They want you to fill out some type of subscription or something. You have to upgrade the subscription to something just to go live now. But we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and also TikTok today. Now, the title for today is going to be vegan is a malnourished diet. Okay, so that's something that we're going to talk about today, just because obviously a lot of people feel that it is. All right, a lot of people feel that if you're going on a plant-based diet, if you're vegan, there's a lot of misconceptions, like you can't get enough nutrients. It steals nutrients out of your body. You'll be deficient in protein, that you can't build muscle, you can't be an athletic performer. You get a lot of brain fog. There's diseases. There's too much pesticides in the foods. It's not a way of life, and so on and so forth. I think y'all get the picture, right? So, with that said, I'm here to explain to everyone that you can be a healthy vegan. You can get all your nutrients, you can build a lot of muscle, and be able to live a very long life. Okay. And just to start off with this, I always say this. I like to introduce myself. My name is Corinne Sutton, if you didn't know that already. But I've been vegan for over 12 years. Okay. So that's more than a decade. So if that was true, number one, I would say use myself as an example. I would be malnourished. I'd be deficient. I would have issues, and I wouldn't be promoting a lifestyle. Okay, I wouldn't be promoting a lifestyle if it was unhealthy. Trust me. All right, like I think there's this one movie. It reminds me of this one movie called Okja. It was on Netflix, right? And it was a vegan movie. It was about this genetically modified pig that was supposed to replace all animal agriculture, right? So it was like this giant pig slash cow type creature, and it was like super genetically modified, super huge, huge as hell. And this one specific animal was supposed to save the world because it had all the nutrients it needs. It was really good, and it was genetically modified. Like, when I say genetically modified, like they created this creature. It was like a hybrid of some sort. I kind of forgot the whole how this creature existed. But when it came down to it, they had these people who were raised this pig slash cow creature compassionately. But then at the and they had this one pig. I'll just call it like a huge pig, right? Then saying pig slash cow. But this huge pig, and when I say huge, I'm talking about like gigantic, like dinosaur like, right? So the movie's wild, right? So it was like a dinosaur, like almost like a hippopotamus style type ant pig. And what ended up happening was, like, when they created this pig and they were showing the commercials, they only showed like how they were raising it more compassionately. Like, it was free range, it had acres of land, it was taken care of like a pet, but then they weren't showing the other side of it, which, and the movie has really good meaning to it, because it's the same thing that's happening to us. But what they did was they were showing like they had like a spokesperson type pig, where they showed the world like, this is how we treat the animals, and then we slaughter it, and then X, Y, and Z. But then when what they weren't showing was the agriculture, like the farm, and how many of these animals did die, and these animals were super intelligent as well. But they were slaughtering them and trying to use it as meat and force breeding them, and pretty much the same thing you see in the animal factory farms to this day. Um, and what I'm trying to get at is that there was a part of the movie where there was this vegan there. Like, I mean, there was many vegans in the movie, but there was this one particular vegan. He was so vegan, like, he was all about reducing his carbon footprint. So like, the dude would barely eat anything, and he was like literally getting like attacked and about to go to jail, and they're trying to run away from everybody, and they're like, dude, you need to eat. And he's like, I don't eat anything that's like that's going to make a bigger footprint. So they're like, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm going to have this cherry tomato. And he was like barely eating the tomato, right? And it was funny, you know, because I know like, and I thought that was fun because in the movie, this is how people do project vegans. Like vegans are so extreme that we will barely eat anything. Now, I'm not saying there's not vegans out there that actually do that shit. You know, like there's some, I mean, we've all seen articles of very extreme shit. And not just veganism, with any type of diet, we've seen someone doing the extreme ends of things, and then they face a horrible death. Like that's no, like I can't filter that any other way. We've seen it from the Atkins, which is the new like animal carnivore diet 3.0, right? Because Atkins started off as an all meat diet, evolved into keto evolved into carnivore, and now it's going backwards to the animal base, saying that you do need plants. People are trying to recreate these diets, and it's literally the same shit, right? We've seen people, what happened to those people? Heart disease, clogged arteries, so on and so forth. It's the same thing. Time pretty much repeats itself. They're just slapping another label on it and trying to push a particular agenda. And the same thing on the vegan end. We've seen people, you know, like literally starve their kids to death. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, which is silly. It has nothing to do with the vegan diet. It's just bad parenting, right? And then we also seen people who like had eating disorders. You know what I'm saying? People had eating disorders and they weren't able to handle. They took the vegan diet to the extreme where they got sick and died. We've seen it on both ends. But it doesn't mean just because we have these extremists, right, means that even on both ends of the spectrums, it doesn't mean that it's labeled for everyone else. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, if you compared me to, it was this like one lady who was super, you know, she had the ED, the eating disorder, and she was like super skinny and like literally like, I'm sorry, but like looking like Tales of the Crypt, man, and she died, right? Because she was starving herself. Like, here's the thing. I don't look like that. I'm not looking like no Skeletor, you know what I'm saying? So here's the reality. The reality is that you can find a balanced diet being vegan, being plant-based. But there's a lot of mistakes that a lot of people actually do when they do try to transition into this diet. So I'm going to talk about some of those things and how we can resolve it. So number one is going to be the protein. All right. So what most people do when they start transitioning to a plant-based diet, they just go ahead and eliminate all animal byproducts altogether, right? Eggs, steak, beef, pork, shellfish, regular fish, marine animals, lamb, like you name it, they eliminate it all, right? Now, remember, by eliminating those animal byproducts, are you missing some essential amino acids? Are you missing some essential vitamins and minerals? Yes, you are, you know. But what people fail to do is how can they replace those vitamins, those minerals, those amino acids through a plant-based diet? This is where that misconception is, because you know, you'll see people who are say like you can't get essential amino acids on a plant-based diet, but those individuals who saying that, they never really been vegan, or it's really dive deep into this scientific studies, or it's not even scientific, just like it's just common sense. They really never even looked into just nutritional facts to really actually teach themselves when it comes to living more on a plant-based lifestyle. Like, where can I get vitamin A? Where can I get my fiber? Where can I get B vitamins? You know, they just automatically assume that you just can't get it. And these are people who's just misinformed. They don't have any type of education when it comes to plant-based nutrition, and that's it. And mostly the most reason why is because they're in their own little bubble. They never change their lifestyle. They never change their diet. They only know what they know, and they're just making huge assumptions, and that's it. and majority of these people are not even dietitians. Majority of them aren't even nutritionists. Majority of them never even picked up a book about plant-based nutrition. Okay, because if they did, they would be pretty similar to me, where I would say like you can get vitamins and minerals, all the essential nutrients that you need from all types of foods. Okay, I'm vegan and I know that. I'm not going to sit there and say you can't get nutrients from meat. I know you can get nutrients from meat. I know you can get nutrients from eggs. But I'm not going to sit here and say to people what's better, what's not. Now, I would tell you, like, hey, if you're telling me, like, if you're asking me personally, like, what do I think is better? I want to give you my opinion, right? So, example, if it's like eggs and tofu, I want to say tofu is a little bit better than eggs. But some people are going to take a biased stance, But with that biased stance, you can have a biased stance, but it's not factual. It's true. There's zero cholesterol. There's zero saturated fat. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get more protein in the tofu versus the egg. There's things that's there. And there's just some misconceptions that people don't really understand. Like they don't understand phytoestrogens. They think like, well, they're going to counteract talking about phytoestrogens and it's going to grow gyno. And I'm like, do you know who you're talking to? You're talking to a 39-year-old man who has a high testosterone level and don't look like have any problems with gyno or anything like that. So come on, like let's get real here. Let's be grown-ups and have a real conversation. If we're going to debate, let's debate for real. But just making out like false statements without any claims is kind of retarded. You know what I'm saying? So let's see. Before I move forward, we have some people in the chat giving some comments. So I'm going to start off with Instagram. Shada NSG said malnourished diet is crazy. Yeah, it is crazy. He also Shada NSG also said born vegan, clean and strong. Nobody can tell I'm vegan by looking at me. Exactly. You have people even in the chat saying the same thing. Like Shada NSG was born as a vegan and people can't even tell. So if he was malnourished or she, I don't know if it's a he or she, but like if Shada was malnourished, I don't think Shada would be texting right now, right? Probably 6 feet in the ground. Right. So I'll see for him to text that this individual is doing pretty well. Let's also see what else we got. Instagram. No one else in Instagram. Let's see on TikTok. Anyone saying anything in TikTok? Let's see. Someone asks, Calvin1778 says, why are you vegan? So I'm vegan because I saw Gary Yourofsky. So Gary Yourofsky came into my classroom. He's like a vegan activist, to make a long story short. Okay. So he's a vegan activist. And what ended up happening is that he's a vegan activist. I think he can't use the ED word. I just got flagged for something. I think it's that. But when it comes down to Gary Yourofsky, he's a vegan activist. He came into my classroom, talked about reasons why you should transition more into a vegan lifestyle. All right. I was open ears, and I was just as curious as everyone else. I had questions, and I had questions just like everyone else. And one of them was basically this. I was like, where do you get a protein? And he told me. Now from there, I wasn't completely convinced to go vegan, but it definitely gave me reasons why I should try out the diet. You know what I'm saying? And I was very open to try. I was in my mid-20s. I was like, it can't hurt. You know what I'm saying? And I wish more people had more of an open mind like that to try out different diets that they feel that will work with them, versus just saying like, it doesn't work, it's garbage, it's trash, then just shit talking. I wish more people had more of an open mind and really try out different types of diets, different types of lifestyles, and see how that can actually work for them. Okay. Now that's what I did. Now, throughout that transition, what I did was first I went pescatarian. So I dropped all plant-based foods out of my diet. By I mean not plant-based foods, all animal-based foods out of my diet. Basically, mostly land animals, right? And I started consuming fish and marine animals, and then started consuming more of a plant-based diet. From that, I saw significant results by just dropping meat. I started dropping fat. Obviously, now knowing like as a nutritionist and being in the fitness industry for over a decade, I know like I by default I put myself in a calorie deficit, but I started getting better mental clarity. My energy levels started feeling a lot better. Um, just everything was good. You know, like every my skin was getting clearer. Um, Everything was great. Strength was the same. Continued working out, and I was going off of just like my own knowledge when it comes to food. You know, and which wasn't that big. You know, it wasn't that big back then. You know, I didn't have a lot of knowledge because I was going off of things I known from magazines and maybe a few health classes here and there. But when I saw those changes, that's when I decided, to make a long story short, to change my major because I was going to college at the time to a exercise science and physiology, and also I started taking courses so I can be um, become a specialist or certified specialist in sport nutrition. Okay, and then once I did that, then that's when I started really learning more about plant-based nutrition. And I started changing up my diet and started reducing the marine animals. And then I eventually became vegan. So that's why I don't really have a vegan birthday. I kind of just sum it up when it gets close to my birthday and just say, like, yeah, I'm 12 years when it's close to my birthday. Yeah, 13 years, so on and so forth. I don't know what day, what month I actually like went fully vegan. I just realized that all the foods I was eating was vegan eventually, and I was doing it on a consistent basis. And I'm like, I guess I'm vegan now because everything I'm eating is 100% plant based. But that's the real reason why I went vegan, was because of Gary Roski. And when he showed me the videos of the slaughterhouses and stuff like that, I mean, you're talking to a guy who was in the military. I was in the military for 8 years. Did 4 years in the United States Marine Corps fully active service, deployed to Operation Iraqi Freedom 3 and 4, and then did another 4 years in the United States Navy Reserves. So I've seen action. I've seen death. I've seen how people treat each other at the worst, you know. And when I saw how animals were being treated, I couldn't ignore it. It wasn't something that I could definitely ignore. And you know, not everyone has that type of mindset. Not everyone really experienced this type of life, you know. So that's why on the internet, I feel like a lot of people can easily ignore like slaughterhouse videos and stuff like that, because it's like watching a movie. Like we're all like, for example, Deadpool and Wolverine. There was so much gore, it was crazy. But this is how Americans are so desensitized, because I mean, I bet you there was parents who brought their kids in there to watch that damn movie, watching Wolverine and Deadpool like literally slash people up to pieces, and there was blood everywhere. And this is how people get desensitized. But it's different when you're watching something from a screen. Even this conversation now is different when when you're talking to me or talking shit through a screen versus in my face, right? People act different when you're in real life, when you're in front of somebody. And it's the same thing when it comes to death and treatment to animals, even violence in war. You know, you're not so calm and making a comment when there's rounds flying around you, when people are dying, when people are getting killed and slaughtered. When it's a little bit different than saying like bacon when you see a slaughterhouse video versus when you're actually in the slaughterhouse. It's completely different, you know. I feel like a lot of people act like fucking bitches, but it's like for real. But like because people live in La La Land, man. You know, a lot of people live in La La Land. They're living in the land of imaginary. But the reality is this: it's like when you're there, it's completely different. Because I've been to a slaughterhouse before in real life, and it's not cool. You know, it's not cool. And if you talk to some slaughterhouse workers, A lot of them don't even work there that long because they get like conditions like PTSD, they get sick, they get ill, a lot of mental illness in from slaughterhouse workers. You know what I'm saying? It's not a normal environment to work in. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny when you see people who's easy commenting, sending gifts and stuff about animals dying, but they never experiencing anything horrible in their life. And I wish they don't experience anything because not everyone can handle that type of action when it really happens. I even have friends who's in the military who's still having mental issues from war. And you're talking about 20 fucking years ago. 20 fucking years ago. So imagine taking someone who never experienced violence and then you put them in a slaughterhouse for a week. I was in war for 1 fucking year. You know? Let that sink in. I was in war for 1 fucking year, and you have motherfuckers who talk shit who never even stepped into a fucking slaughterhouse. And I bet you they would be in more pain if they sat in a slaughterhouse for 1 day versus a Marine who's been in war for 1 year. And I had too many of my buddies died, got drug addiction, still has mental issues from war that was 20 fucking years ago. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's funny when I see jokers talking shit, because I'm like, I know if you were in my face and you really heard my story, you wouldn't be talking shit. It's too hard to. You know what I'm saying? But that's the main reason why I went vegan, because I was like, man, these animals are going through hell, bro. You know what I'm saying? And if I can just change my diet and not participate in that, how hard can it be? You know what I'm saying? 12 years later, I'm still vegan. I'm fine. I love the lifestyle. I love what I'm eating. It's actually better for me because it's not just from a health perspective, but also for my spirit. You know, I don't want to put violence and death in my body. And when I say that shit, I really mean it, you know, because I already lived it. You know what I'm saying? I already lived that lifestyle of violence and death. So the last thing I want to be doing is putting that bullshit in my body. You know, I want to just put in life in my body. All right. So that's the main reason why I went plant-based. I went vegan, you know. So with that said, you know, let's go. I know it's kind of dark. I went a little deep, but it's real, you know. It's what I really went through. You know what I mean? But let's see. Rhino, I don't know how you say your name. They said that's actually amazing that you made the change from listening to Gary Yourofsky in person. Yeah, and y'all can watch it. You know, I highly recommend watching the movie. I mean, watching the speech, because I had a chance to actually see it and see him in real life. But he has a speech on YouTube. It's an old speech, but it's on YouTube. You could just check it out. It's called "The Best Speech Ever." You know, just type that in, "The Best Speech Ever." And you'll see like Gary Yourofsky is like this white guy who's bald head with glasses. All right. And he's like in the classroom. That's what you're going to see on the thumbnail. Just go ahead and click it. I highly recommend vegans, non-vegans, whatever, to watch that film. Watch that speech. It's really good. All right. Let's see. I am ballistic said, may you share some facts, your opinion on. Yeah, what facts? What facts do you want me to share? You know, help me be a little bit more specific. Let's see, with TikTok. What causes kidney stones? There's a lot of things that cause kidney stones, actually. Because I know like a lot of, and this is from Halim Reed from TikTok. So what causes kidney stones could be many things. So obviously you have like, you know, and I kind of already know where you're going at with this. So obviously you probably already heard like spinach can cause kidney stones, right? So when it comes down to that, yes, if you're eating like large amounts of it and you're eating it raw and that's all you're eating, right? Because I think one of the Hellsworth brothers got kidney stones from and he supposedly said it was from the spinach because he was doing like raw spinach smoothies like every day and shit like that. But usually, where most people get kidney stones, because that's like a monopoly. But when it comes to most people, they usually get it from just being dehydrated all the time, exercising too much, too little. Again, correlating if you're not drinking enough water, that can help. That can create kidney stones. Also, being overweight, having tons of body fat, being obese can lead to kidney stones as well. Eating too much foods with salt and sugar can also lead to kidney stones. Drinking excessive amount of alcohol can also lead to kidney stones. There's many things. All right, and if we're comparing apples to oranges, I want to tell you this: like all the bad habits of excessive salt, sugar, fat, being obese, lack of exercises, not drinking water, drinking an excessive amount of alcohol, more people get kidney stones from that type of lifestyle than just eating spinach. You know, you're going to see more people, more cases on that versus people eating raw spinach. So when you see influencers out there like trying to fearmonger you and talking about the oxalates and the spinach and create kidney stones if you eat too much, that's the last thing you have to worry about, because if you're eating foods that's like literally tons of ultra processed food that has tons of salt and sugar, you're not exercising, you're not really drinking water to stay hydrated, you drink a bunch of alcohol. This is like a life, and if I say all of that, that sounds like a lifestyle of the average American who doesn't give a shit about their diet. That's what's going to create kidney stones more than the damn spinach. All right. Now, if you're scared about oxalates, the only thing you need to do is just cook it, and that's it. All right. So you just cook the spinach, it breaks down oxalates, and that's it. So when it comes to raw spinach, I'm not saying that you can never have a spinach salad, you can never have a spinach smoothie or a smoothie with spinach in it. You can have it, but just try not to be so excessive around it. All right. Cook some, have smoothies from time to time, switch up the leaves. It doesn't always have to be spinach. You can mix it up with some kale. You can do arugula. You know, there's so many different greens and different types of smoothies you can make, but you're not going to get kidney stones from one green smoothie. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. Riet says, thank you for your service. No doubt. Let's see. Who else? All right. Someone says, what is better, frozen or fresh spinach? That really depends on. That's going to really depend on what you're using it for. I mean, when it comes down to it, frozen vegetables and fruits are a little bit better, just because once picked off the vine, it holds its nutrients. Versus raw produce, they start losing their nutrients once it's pulled off the vine. But this doesn't equate to all fruits and vegetables, because some fruits and vegetables actually get more nutrients as it starts to ripe. So it's one of those things where it's like, I always say at the end of the day, it's about your conveniency. Like, because even though one can be better than the other, it's not that much better. Like, you're not going to become Superman because you started switching out all your vegetables to frozen, or you're doing everything raw. Like, it's the difference is so minute, it's not even noticeable. You know what I'm saying? So I always say, get something that's more convenient. So if you're someone who like don't eat a lot of spinach on a frequent basis, then maybe you want to get frozen, because you can use some for now and then store it in the freezer. It's good to go. But if you're someone who uses spinach on a consistent basis, like myself, I use spinach a lot on a consistent basis, because I use it for my like tofu scrambles, for my burger bowls, for in the mornings when I'm cooking. So I get raw because I'm cooking it right. I'm going through that spinach fast. I'm eating it pretty much every single day. So the time I'm done with the spinach, it's not going to go bad. Okay. Let's see. Coach D said, what's the difference in your weight now and when you first became vegan? Well, when I was And that's a good question. The difference now with my weight is when I used to eat meat, um, the heaviest I ever gotten was 225. Now, the reason I was at 225 because the goal at that particular time when I was eating meat, it wasn't that like I ate meat and that I was at 225. It was like I was eating meat, but I was trying to bulk and build muscle, right? So that's the heaviest I ever gotten. But remember, like when I was consuming meat, I'm not saying that I couldn't be leaner eating meat. If I had the knowledge that I have now, and I started consuming meat, I could more than likely I could stay at the same weight. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is that I didn't my knowledge in nutrition wasn't that great back then when I was in my mid 20s versus now. So when I was bulking, I was just doing things I've read on magazines because magazines was the social media back then, not now. So the information wasn't like there, if that makes sense. So with that said, that's why I was at 225. And now I'm weighing at 185. Well, right now, currently at 180. Sorry, I'm at 180. I'm bouncing between 177 and 180. Now the reason is just because I'm currently cutting, but throughout that time period, throughout the 12 years being plant based, I have built a lot of muscle because the only thing I can tell you is that when I was younger, I didn't have as much muscularity that I had now. And there's multiple reasons behind that. Reason one is because, I wasn't bodybuilding when I was younger. I was going to the gym. I was training 5 days out of the week. I was doing cardio, doing resistance training, but I wasn't training as a competitor, right? And a competitor competition versus like a regular guy just going to the gym to work out, it's two different things, right? So that's number one. Because I still remember how long back then when I was in my 20s, how long I'd be in the gym. I wouldn't be in the gym no more than an hour and a half. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm in the gym like 2 hours and a half, sometimes three, so because I'm doing competitive bodybuilding training, so it's a little bit different. I would never sit on the treadmill and do an hour of cardio and then right after that do another hour and a half of resistance training. Now I do. Back then, never would do it. So that's the difference, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I just build more muscularity. I'm more shredded. I have more control with my diet. But I know one thing when it comes to my blood work is definitely a lot better than when I was eating meat. Just because when I was eating meat, doctors would never tell me anything. They were just like, yeah, you're good, all right. But now, like when I go to the doctors, they're like, man, your blood work's amazing. I get like surprising results. They're like, dude, like I haven't seen blood work like this like forever. You know what I'm saying? So I get more compliments on the blood work. And when I go to the hospital and stuff and get my blood work, I don't tell anyone that I'm vegan because I don't want to hear some of the nonsense. I made that mistake one time. Like I told them, like, oh, I'm vegan, and then they're trying to school me, talking about like you need to make sure you take your B12 vitamins and shit like that, even though the blood results in front of their face says everything's optimal. So to just disregard that conversation and having some nurse trying to tell me what I should and shouldn't do, which I already know what to do. I just don't say anything. I let them just read off the paperwork and just give me my results, and that's it. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. Someone asked, Christine Scott said, do you eat a raw food diet or both, cooked and raw? I eat both, raw and cooked. I don't stick to just a raw diet. I kind of told myself though, like maybe if I got like when I'm older and retired, I might go raw, because I see a lot of benefits behind going raw vegan. But with my lifestyle at the moment, I can't just because I'm too busy. And living a raw vegan diet doesn't align to my lifestyle at this moment. It takes too much time. You have to sprout shit, like I don't have time to kind of bounce around that type of lifestyle, and it doesn't align to what I'm doing at the moment. Like I'm doing bodybuilding and stuff like that, so it doesn't align to that. So that's why, and I'm not gonna like like being vegan is already like hard enough being as a bodybuilder. So going raw will be even harder, you know. And it's not. And when I say it's already hard enough because you have to consume so much protein, you know. And I'm not big in protein, but I know to build muscle you have to do protein, you know. So I have to make sure I'm hitting my protein goals so I can get, you know, build that muscle. But that's the thing. Like, yeah. But to answer your question, that's pretty much it. Let's see what YouTube what they got to say. Um, all right, we got some people coming in. So we see. All right, so Mario Thomas says, "How are you getting your protein and maintaining muscle mass?" So it's pretty much simple when it comes down to getting my protein and maintaining muscle mass. It's pretty much just it's tons of stuff. Majority of the protein that I consume is going to be from seitan, tofu, and tempeh. Okay, especially tempeh bacon. That's my favorite. You know, I don't like. I'm not a big fan of just regular tempeh. It has to be like tempeh bacon because tempeh has a stout aftertaste. But when you do that, when you make it as a bacon, it tastes a lot better. You know, so I'm a big fan of the tempeh bacon, and then some protein powder. Okay. Now, when I say protein powder, I always have to say this as well. Like, I don't have to take protein powder to get protein, but I usually do it because it's just an easy way. It's convenient. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I do it. And I've been taking protein powder even when I was on an animal based diet. So nothing really changed. It's just only thing that changed is I went from whey to plant based. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So nothing really changed. So when people say like, "Oh, you need to take a bunch of protein powder," I'm like, I don't take a bunch of protein powder. I take 2 scoops of protein, which is equivalent to 30 grams of protein, and that's it. I have one shake a day. That's it. Now with all the other now those are my primary protein items to get protein from, but then also I combined it through a plant-based diet. So a whole foods plant-based diet. So you're talking about like fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. You can get a lot of protein from that as well. So mixing all those whole foods plant-based items with the protein items helped me get about 180 grams of protein. And I'm not just maintaining muscle, I'm building muscle. So I like to correct that sentence because you say like getting protein and maintaining. I'm not maintaining, I'm gaining. So like I was never maintaining what I had. I always gained more muscle from where I was. So within the 12 years of training and getting the protein and eating appropriately, I've been building more muscle. Because if I was just maintaining muscle, I wouldn't be a bodybuilder and have all this shit on in the background. It's just it's too much victory, too much victory, you know, too much victory. In bodybuilding, it's always about advancing, getting better. So within 10 years of bodybuilding, there's no way I could be getting all these trophies, first place, overalls, you know, all these wins, getting pro cards, you know, like it's impossible to get all those medals. You know what I'm saying? First places, overalls, you know, in bodybuilding, if I was just the same when like 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, I've been building muscle. All right. Let's see. May's son says egg, meat, cheese cause mucus and clog up arteries over time. With a high consumption of it, it does. Some people are just cold-hearted. Yeah, I mean, some people are, but it's like I said, Ethan. Like I feel like it's just people are just indoctrinated and yeah, I guess you say cold-hearted. I was going to say just desensitized. You know, never experienced the real thing. Paul says, "I don't care. No one cares about you either, bro. So keep moving on. Yeah, there's other things you could be wasting your time on than wasting your time posting." Mace says, "Earthlings is a crazy documentary. I still haven't finished it. So sad." Man, you haven't finished Earthlings, man? God damn. Yeah, you need to watch that shit. You know, watch that shit, man. Let's see. Soul Being Christine says there are YouTube channels dedicated to debunking the vegan diet. in addition to all ex-vegans. It's wild that people don't mind their own business. They can miss me with all that vegan 15 years. Exactly. And I truly believe I truly believe you. And I know it's with the ex-vegans, they I personally don't understand the thought process because I never really spoke to an ex-vegan. I mean, I have, but like never got into a conversation about it because we were never in an environment to really dive deep into why they didn't do it. Like maybe I was like in some type of conversation and someone's like, "Oh, I used to be vegan, it just didn't work out." But it wasn't like the environment wasn't right to really dive deep and say like what happened, like what like really go into it with them. But I just know this, like most ex vegans are just they're just talking about their own experience. Number one, and number two, I always say they just never did it right because, and that's one thing I've always noticed. Like all the ex vegans, even ex vegans that I personally know, they were never really that knowledgeable in nutrition. And I don't know if it's an ego thing because to me, I was like, we're friends. Like, why, if you were having issues, why you never talk to me? About nutrition. Like you just came out of the woodworks talking about like you're ex-vegan, you're doing this, you're going to go ahead and do this, and they never came to me to talk about nutrition. They just, I don't know if it's ego or they felt ashamed to talk to me because some of these individuals were like coaches and stuff like that I knew. So like I don't know, I don't know, but yeah, vegan 15 years, that's great, man. Um, Big Daddy Fred says, "Thank you for being you." Hey, no problem, man. Thank you for support. Ethan Wick says, "Pretty much drinking too much water can be bad for you as well. It's about balance, I would assume." Yeah, you're right. You could drink too much water, get water poisoning, washing out all the electrolytes out of your body. Ethan Wick also says, "Have you had any injuries that prevented you working out for some time? And if so, how did you recover and bounce back?" Yeah, I had many injuries. This body's been mangled. So like I literally had this conversation with one of my students yesterday actually. So one of them was I dislocated jaw one time when I was 7 years old playing baseball. Some guy, I dived to grab a ball, he ran in my face. Um, you know, just bounced back up. I just put it back in place and kept on playing ball. And then ever since then, every time I do this, you hear a pop. And then and then after that, dislocated right shoulder when I was a teenager, playing backyard wrestling because back when I was a teenager, I wanted to do like wrestling shit and ended up like dislocating my right shoulder. And guess what? I was eating meat this whole time, right? So I was like dislocated my shoulder when I was eating meat, dislocated my jaw when I was eating meat. And then as a vegan, I tore my Achilles tendon. So that was about, I want to say about like probably like 8 or 9 years ago. I tore my Achilles tendon. So that was pretty bad. But when it came down to recovering, I just did what I had to do and I bounced back. Now, out of the injuries, like the dislocated jaw really didn't stop me from working out, but the shoulder obviously did. And then the torn Achilles. And honestly, I had small injuries like pulled backs, like I can't even count how many times I pulled my back multiple times, or tendonitis in joints, tendonitis in wrists, or I actually bruised my wrist one time, like a whole bunch of stuff. But when it comes down to recovering, I just did what I needed to do. Like I don't know how else to really explain it because like for the Achilles tendon, I went through physical therapy. I got surgery, physical therapy, and I bounced back just like that. I continue to eat healthy, and that's it. It took me 3 months for a full recovery. Same thing when I bruised both my wrists. Like I just iced it. What else can you do? It was a bruise slash sprain. So I just iced it. Couldn't do chest. Couldn't do any type of workout that really involves gripping anything. So I just continued to eat healthy, and I was eating meat during that time. So I just continued to eat healthy. Wasn't really drinking and stuff like that. Just ice. rest, got back to it, and when I started working out, I had to start off slow and then jumped into it. Um, that's pretty much it. I mean, every injury I had, I just did what I had to do to recover, and then just got into it. There was no like, I was never demotivated or depressed from an injury, like because I played sports now since I was 7, and I was in the military. So you're talking to a guy who, like, it's just like it happens. It's a physical body. The body's going to get injured when you're doing sports and doing physical activities. So I have a complete understanding of injury. It's like I don't look at it like, oh man, like, and I think I know where you're coming from because some people might get injured. I mean, I hear stories all the time myself where people like person got injured, like they tore their ACL, and then they got fat. You know what I'm saying? And they were like, yeah, in high school I tore my ACL, or in college I tore my ACL and just never bounced back from it. And now I'm overweight, I'm 40, and now I'm trying to lose weight and da da da. I I was never this type of individual. I never let an injury hold me back, like that. So I don't know. It's just I guess how I was brought up, with military background, with playing sports as a kid, getting injured all the time. It's like you just know you have to just jump back up and keep going forward. That's it. You heal up, you keep moving forward, and whatever injuries stop you from doing anything, just find a way to get back to it. That's it. Like especially if you love to move, you love being healthy, you love being active, and you love the sport that you do. You just do what you need to do. Hopefully that answered your question. If you want me to be a little bit more detailed, just let me know. What do you mean? Hey, boss man, what's up? Let's see. Rashawn says, hello, Corinne. It's Elliot. Just checking out the live before our meeting. Just trying to understand plant-based dieting to improve my health and better serve my future clients. No doubt, man. No doubt. Let's see. Soul Vegan Cuisine says, much respect for all you do, Corinne. Love your content. Thanks a lot. And then Ethan, yeah, thanks. All right. Oh, cool. Yeah, I didn't know how else to answer the question. Just to be honest with you, I was just like, I don't know. I mean, I just do what I do, just jump back onto it. That's it. All right. So that's all from Instagram. Now, let's see. Oh, hide that. All right. So, and let's see. I think that's it. Christine from Instagram says, I did raw for 3 months and I lost too much weight. Yeah, I mean when you go raw, I mean you have to understand raw foods, any raw foods, just the whole food plant-based diet itself. Um, it's low in calories. It's nutrient dense, but it's very low in calories. So yeah, you're going to lose a lot of weight. Now, if you're trying to do raw and maintain more weight, and you're trying to get more calories, this is where most raw vegans usually do juicing, because if you do the juice, you can get more calories in because you're concentrating all the nutrients and all the calories into like a bottle. So that's one way you can get more calories in. That's it, and it'd be a lot easier to do that through juicing versus just eating raw. So that's why most raw people who does raw diets, they usually juice on top of that. You know, not just for not just to be healthy and get more nutrients, but also get more calories. You know, so that's something you have to think about when you're going raw. And I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So yeah, with that said, hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully I debunked and answered a lot of the questions. I know, like, the topic was about being vegan and not and being malnourished and stuff, but I think by answering all the questions, I was able to pretty much got my point across. All right. So with that said, if you want more videos, if you want me to go live more frequently, I mean, I am already doing that, but also at the same time with these lives, when I go live on all the platforms at the same time, I usually do this every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. So with that said, I'll go ahead and let y'all go. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.